Avondale is the largest African American neighborhood in the city, and one of the largest concentrations of African. This has always been a beautiful neighborhood, Jewish dominated from the early 1900s to the mid. And recently I took Rabbi Wise on a tour of the neighborhood, and he knew more about it than I did, so I stopped calling it my neighborhood and started calling it our neighborhood. This is a large African American neighborhood that has been transferred over from being a Jewish neighborhood. It's a beautiful neighborhood. It certainly has its issues, but it certainly has its assets. The home of the world famous Cincinnati Zoo, which continues to be the #1 tourist attraction in the greater Cincinnati area. Home to the Cincinnati Children's Hospital, top 3 in America. Home to the University of Cincinnati Hospital, home to the Health Alliance headquarters, home to the Urban League, blocks away from United Way, not 2 miles from the University of Cincinnati, not 2 miles from Xavier, not 2 miles from Cincinnati State. Beautifully situated in between I-71 and I-75, 15 minutes from Avondale has its strengths. And I'm happy to be in Avondale. Looking forward to bringing pride back to our neighborhood. We think that pride and character are 2 very important things that we have to establish here. You know, I came home from law school in '97 and Bernadette Watson challenged me to be a part of the community. And I really didn't know much about the community council setting or really what she intended for me to do in this challenge. But I came to the meeting. It was an Avondale Community Council meeting, and I understood the people, mostly residents who were a part of this community council, were concerned. At that time, the leadership wasn't exactly happy with the institutions in the neighborhood at all. There had been just, let's say, some difficulties between the hospitals and the residents. And the temperature hadn't been right. Nor were the powers that be exactly confident in the leadership of the community. So that tension, 15 years of such that I've worked with, it started to change about 6-7 years ago. And under the leadership of Patricia Milton, the Avondale Community Council became a strong, united front that was deeply concerned with the entirety of Avondale. And there have been a lot of committed people. Fulton Jefferson, he's been around since I can remember. Patricia Milton herself, she's been around since I can remember. And the commitment to this neighborhood from the people that live here has been tremendous. The faith-based community has been tremendous. Of record, we've got 42 churches. Some say there are as many as 54. I grew up in church in this neighborhood. I still attend Southern Baptist. And if it weren't for Pastor Milton, I'm not certain where I personally would have been. The commitment to the neighborhood from a faith-based community has never been greater than it is today. The town center, is owned by a group of 4 African American churches. The town center was built by Oscar Robinson back in 1983. To have that town center owned by a group of African American churches, it's the only inner city town center owned by a group of African American churches. It's critical that the business sector is now on board with Renaissance in the neighborhood. Edward Groves Group that owns the Vernon Manor incredible Eric Kearney and Jan Michelle, who own the Herald Building. The evidence that the time is now is everywhere. For the first time since I have been a part of this community, or at least a part of this community's leadership, the hospitals are on the same page with the community in regards to moving the neighborhood forward. Place matters. The Funders Collaborative that came into the neighborhood 6 years ago to invest in youth, to invest in education, to invest in health, to invest in safety, to create the Avondale Comprehensive Development Corporation. We're birthed of Place Matters. That investment, Cinnamon Pelly and Chase have invested over $500,000 in the past 6 years in Avondale. Gabriel's Place, who you met earlier, the work that's being done at Gabriel's Place around gardening, fresh fruits and vegetables, the Center for Closing the Health Gap, our partners, Every Child Succeeds, who is in the neighborhood working with first-time mothers. The time is now for Avondale. I tell black men that there is no more impactful place than the corner of Reading Road and Rockdale, where we stand right now. There's a Lincoln statue and an African American middle school who's gone from, South Avondale has gone from academic emergency to excellent. On the other corner, it's the town center. On this corner where we sit, the LBD Business Center, the oldest African American business in the city. This building we're in. The city is on board. Just after meeting early today, where Avondale is one of the Port Authority's focus areas. The Shop 52 initiative that the Economic Development Director announced yesterday, which is starting in Madisonville, College Hill, and Wand Hills, will be coming to Avondale in time for the I-71 exchange that's going to be getting off at Martin Luther King. So in the next 5 to 7 years, we'll have our own ramp off of 71 on the MLK. The time is now for Avondale. I tell young entrepreneurs that are getting into development, buy in Avondale now. It's a perfect time. I've actually shown many retail spaces on Burnett Avenue on Reading Road to African American businesses, recruiting them to the neighborhood. Avondale Comprehensive Development Corporation, and we've been missioned to represent the community that we define as residents, businesses, anchor institutions, and faith-based institutions, to raise the quality of life in the neighborhood and areas from arts and culture, safety, health and education, housing development, economic development, and workforce development. The organization is a year old. We were established in 2011, and we've just gone through a strategic planning and theory of change process, detailing the work that we'll be doing in 2013 and beyond, which will be twofold. We'll be concentrating our work in physical development, physical and economic development, and in community engagement. Well, our board is pretty much the start of where partnership begins, and the collaboration of our board is really what's unique about the opportunity we have here in Avondale. My board chair is Red Walden from the Urban League. Vice Chair is Cinnamon Pelly from JP Morgan Chase. My secretary is Patricia Milton from the Avondale Community Council. And my treasurer is Jerry Siegert from the University of Cincinnati. Joyce Kinley, Pastor Enos Tate, Henry Brown, and Christy Bryant make up our executive committee. There are 17 members of the board, and they have been all very engaged in our efforts here at ACDC. We're funded by Place Matters, which is a funders collaborative headed up by United Way, Local Initiative Support Corporation, Greater Cincinnati Foundation, LISC, U.S. Bank, NeighborWorks, SC Ministry Foundation. Place Matters Funders Collaborative has been instrumental here at ACDC. Right now we have 5 staff members. I'm the executive director. Maria Collins is the director of Real Estate Development and Community Services. Reggie Brazel is the director of Community Engagement. Patrick Cartier is our community organizer, and April Cummings Perry is our executive assistant. And we really are about anything that's going to better the Avondale neighborhood. We're big on finding the 45229s. So we go into the high schools, pull out the 45229s. We got an initiative going on now where we're working with the corporations, with who are the 45229s. Who works at your corporation that lives in my neighborhood that I can contact? And the base of our efforts is an initiative that we call Know Your Neighbor. We're firm believers that if neighbors get to know one another, then we can have a neighborhood that people talk about. We've had a significant decline in crime and violence in the neighborhood. There's only been one death that has occurred due to violence in the neighborhood, and unfortunately was an officer-involved shooting that happened Thanksgiving Eve. But this time last year there were 17 deaths due to violence in our neighborhood. Crime, both Part 1 and Part 2 crime, are down 40% in this neighborhood, and some of that is because of the work that we've done in collaboration with the Cincinnati Police Department, the Community Police Partnering Center, the faith-based institutions again, and the Avondale Community Council, and our moral voice message. We're really contemplating district by district housing, rehab, and infill development, and that community engagement piece district by district. Very involved with both elementary schools here and the charter school, Phoenix. And one of the things I'm most excited about is our efforts to reconnect the Jewish community with the African American community. We've got several initiatives. We have a 6th grade African American and Jewish history project that we've been working on. We're going to be applying for a sabbatical student to work with us, and we're actually right now I'm reading on the transition from synagogues to churches. I go to Southern Baptist with 8th Israel, and then down the street where Zion Temple Pentecostal is, that used to be Wise Temple. And I'm reading an exciting article about the Jewish relationship in neighborhoods like Avondale, not just Avondale, but in Avondale, in neighborhoods like Avondale, and how that transition occurred across the country. And that's been an amazing learning. Our Opportunity Providers Initiative is another creative initiative that was started here, and we bring resource providers into the neighborhood. So when I'm out on the street, somebody say, hey, I need a job, sometimes it's the lack of being able to get to the resource. So we bring the resources to the neighborhood. Urban League, Community Action Agency, Cincinnati Works. We've had the Cat House. We've had countless social service providers, workforce providers health and human spiritual healing providers, because we're trying to give the people what they want, and even go a step further in trying to encourage residents to participate in these offerings and assist in closing the gap to any barriers that might exist. The fact that all of these players at the table together determining how we move forward in this neighborhood is of itself the answer to why and why now.